On Sunday night, last night, there was a shooting in a busy shopping centre in Carlow in Ireland. And when it happened, as it was happening, obviously there was panic in the area. People were running, screaming. People didn't know what was going on. And a lot of news was filtering out to the public and a lot of speculation as well. And I want to look at some of that, the good, the bad, and the ugly in this report that I'm about to do for you. Now, I want to try and bring you the facts of what is actually known at the moment, and I want to try and shed a light on the mentality of some people, both those on the so called far right and those on the so called far left, and their ghoulish exhibitions last night in the wake of the shooting in some cases. So let's get into this first. The question in everybody's mind last night was, well, what happened? What happened in Carlow? There was hysteria, I suppose you would say, understandably so. When gunshots are discharged in a busy shopping centre, people don't know what's happening, don't know if their life is at risk or not, or their lives are in danger. The first report that came out last night was one of the first official reports to come out was from the Irish Independent. People were screaming, people were running. Gunman dies following shooting in a busy Carlow shopping centre. Terrified shoppers fled after the gunman began shooting in a busy centre on Sunday night. Bomb squad called in as a device found on a white Irish adult male. Pay particular attention to this one. Man declared dead at the scene. A child aged 9 also suffered a leg injury, and there is a photograph of the emergency services near the scene at Fairgreen Shopping Centre in Carlow. Now, interestingly, in almost parallel with the Liverpool crowd ramming that took place last week, within hours, details emerged of the alleged driver who ploughed through people in Liverpool, that he was a white English national aged 53 from the local area. That information was released almost immediately. The same thing happened last night. The powers that be were very quick to make it clear that the man was a white Irish adult male, which is fair enough. I believe there should be no vacuums in reporting. I believe if details are available, details should be given out to avoid speculation and to avoid people jumping to the wrong conclusions. But that cuts both ways. That cuts both ways. So if the suspect was a white Irish adult male and you can release that information within an hour or two to let people know what's going on, well, if he hadn't been white and he hadn't been Irish, that information should also have been released. Also, just in terms of balance and fair reporting. But of course, we know from experience that when many of these incidents happen, that the perpetrator's details are withheld. They're withheld to protect the identities of the attackers or the whoever was carrying out attacks, and to stop public outrage. But that should cut both ways. It should cut both ways. And to be fair, last night, if you saw if you used the X or Twitter platform, Philip Dwyer was on the scene within, I don't know how quickly he got there. He was down covering a demonstration in Clonmel, and he was on his way home. He heard about this, and he veered off to Carlow, and he was the first person on the scene. There were none of the so-called mainstream or legacy media reporters there last night whenever this was actually happening. Philip was on the ground. He got a lot of flack for it, saying he was out there searching for, trying to sensationalize things. He was out there trying to fish for information that would suit his narrative. He was not. If you watch him, he was there for a good time. He walked around the area. He tried to speak to the people at the scene. He tried to speak to locals in the area. He asked many, many, many people repeatedly, do you have any information? Do you have anything that you can share with me or tell me? And that some people ignored him. Some people were sarcastic. Some people spoke to him. But he was there. Where was RTE? Where was the Irish Independent? Where was the Irish Times? You know, at one point, I think there was 35,000 people watching Philip's live stream. And by the way, it was a live stream. It wasn't edited. It wasn't cut and pasted. Little bits weren't clipped out. It was real. It was live. So what it showed me also last night, I'm trying to find information on this morning, official information rather than speculation, is that he was there at the cutting edge before any of these so-called mainstream or legacy media outfits. So you can make of that one what you will. Let's see the response issued by Garda Síochána shortly after 6:15. Gardaí were alerted following reports of a firearm discharge. They were currently at the scene last night with the shopping centre car park cordoned off. It will remain in place overnight. And again, a white Irish adult male is deceased at the scene. The Army EOD, Explosive Ordnance Disposal Team, has been requested to attend. They believe there was a suspect device or suspicious looking device or parcel package with the shooter. And to be on the safe side, they sent out the bomb squad. A female juvenile received treatment from paramedics following the incident but did not require hospital care. It is undetermined how her injuries were sustained. Again, I'm not going to speculate, but I would imagine she wasn't shot, because if she was shot, she wouldn't just have been treated at the scene by paramedics and then sent home without even going to the hospital, I would imagine. So maybe she received her injury as she was fleeing in a panic. But either way, God bless the kid. That little girl must be severely traumatized right now. What those injuries are, thank God again, she wasn't killed or she wasn't seriously injured. She was treated at the scene and she was allowed to go home again, which is great. And many ghouls that have been commenting on this, all they're doing is banging on about who did the shooting. You can tell someone's motives by the way that they show concern for the people that were actually affected by the incident. Anyone with footage, don't share it on social media, but provide it to Garda Síochána. So that's what the guard said. And of course, Tweedledum and Tweedledee both had to pop on and give their thoughts. Micheál Martin, deeply shocked and saddened at the incident. My thoughts are with the families affected and the local community. Notice also, by the way, this is something that I've picked up on. This. Notice this also. When these statements are now being released by government ministers, I've noticed this with Micheál Martin last week also when he commented on the Liverpool thing. And I know it doesn't mean a lot to some people, but it's telling. They've dropped the prayers. Many of them are starting to drop the prayers. So my thoughts are with this. My thoughts are with that. I don't believe it either way. I don't believe Martin gives a damn about the Irish people or people anywhere else in the world for that matter. That's my opinion. The same goes for Simon Harris. But what I am trying to say to you is they're backpedaling on the prayers bit. You know, our thoughts and prayers are with the injured. Yeah, right. But I'm just saying they're dropping that reporting aspect, especially here. And you can also see it with regards to what Simon Harris said. So Martin has dropped the thoughts and prayers. It's just the thoughts now. The same with Simon Harris. Notice this one. Deeply concerned to hear about the incident. I've been kept briefed. I understand a young child has been hurt. I join with people across our country and thinking of them and their family tonight. So thoughts, thinking of those who witnessed this situation, thinking about people, and even Jim O'Callaghan, his statement was the same. I'm thinking about people. And again, I'm not making this a religious thing, and some people think it doesn't matter anyway, but I'm just saying the language and the reporting is interesting. They're dropping the spiritual aspect of it, the religious aspect of it that was always there it seems to be missing now in more of these statements going forward. And you can check this. You can check this one for yourself. So, was able to find out, or this has just been reported on early this morning, the shooter, the man who discharged the shots and then apparently turned the gun upon himself, was in his early 20s. He had already been bailed on firearms offences last year. He was on bail for serious firearm offences. The man in his early 20s was before the courts last year when he was charged with offences associated with an assault rifle that he bought on the dark web. Now, it was a Heckler & Koch G3 rifle seized along with a Remington handgun and multiple types of ammunition. He was arrested last year in Kildare by specialist Gardaí from the Drugs and Organised Crime Bureau, set to hear a date for this trial, having appeared before the court again last month. Sources say he went to the shopping centre armed on Sunday evening and fired a number of shots. However, it's believed he was killed by his own firearm, and the firearm found yesterday was legally held. People think it was a shotgun. However, he had been up on charges for procuring an assault rifle and a handgun with multiple types of ammunition. He didn't use those. Those were illegally purchased. This was his own firearm that it is believed to have been legally held. So he was due to come back on trial again. And again, I want to look at some of the ghoulish statements that were coming out last night. And quite frankly, it was sad to see. It was sad to see how some people were jumping all over this and trying to sensationalize it simply to get clicks on social media. Just making stuff up, adding numbers here, speculating about that when they hadn't a clue what was going on. And even if they had waited for an hour or two, they would have found out some factual information. And jumping for clicks does nothing but damage the legitimacy of people that are actually trying to bring out some valid reports in this, some balanced reporting to this, which is what I'm trying to do right now. I'm not sensationalizing anything. I'm reporting on the facts as we know them. I'm not speculating on anything. I'm just telling you what actually happened, when it actually happened, where it actually happened, who was actually involved. Okay? Some of the stuff that was coming out last night was outlandish: terror attack, multiple shooters, 8 people shot, so on and so forth, little girls shot. Didn't know any details at all. It was just for clicks on social media. Ridiculous. That's on one end of the spectrum. And then, of course, a lot of people there were trying to get to the bottom of things. They weren't speculating. They were saying, okay, this is what we know so far. We'll keep you updated. We'll keep you briefed. Like Philip, for example, went down in person. He was walking around in person at the scene, trying to get information from the first responders and local people in the area as well. From the little pieces of clips that I saw last night as I was out moving around myself, doing something else. I didn't see the whole thing, but 35,000 people watching that unedited. And then on the other side, you have ghouls who were almost rejoicing that the person doing this crime was a so-called white male. It vindicated them almost, talking about migrant crime. You're quick to pin the blame on this, and this. No one mentioning the potential victims, the fact that a man was dead, the fact that a little girl had been injured and people were terrified. No, it was all about hype, all about pointing the finger of blame when even they didn't know the details either. And I'll give you an example of this, some of the stuff that was being said. Listen to this. The Irish far right wants you to believe that immigrants are the problem. We know it's male violence. This is a post that was put up. So here we have a picture of the man in Garda, in Carlow, was on bail for firearms, a white Irish male. What we know about the Liverpool FC parade, it was a white British male. Someone saying that men are the problem, it's men. Immigrants, they don't do anything. It's just men. Somebody else actually made a great comment early this morning. Nobody really picked up on it, but I did. Twitter or X last night was very wild. People foaming at the mouth, hoping the Carlow incident was carried out by a foreigner. Some people sadly were. They were hoping for it, fingers crossed. And on the other side, people were foaming at the mouth because he was Irish. Decency missing from every side. Amen to that. Not a thought for any victims. And I'm talking about extreme cases. Of course, not everybody on the left was rejoicing that it was an Irishman, and not everybody on the so-called right was rejoicing or disappointed that it wasn't a foreigner. Anybody with any decency would have been concerned in the first instance with the child that was injured. We're not sure about those injuries as per now. But interesting with the reporting, how quickly they are to release details in this case and in the case of Liverpool last week. Will that be a precedent that is now being set? Because obviously they have the capacity to do that and release all the details about this man's background as well. Firearms charges, his age, where he's from, what he was in court for, when he's due back in court. He was a local man, and so on and so forth. Information's there and it's there quickly in some cases. Other cases, things are kept very much hush-hush. So will this now be a blanket standard that would be applied to every crime when the information is known? Let me know what your thoughts and opinions are below. Feel free to share this content. I believe it's as legitimate as I can make it. Just presenting you with the facts there. If you feel this is beneficial, you feel other people need to hear this or see it, cut and paste the link, drop it into Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, share it on your own social media pages. Do whatever you want with it. Leave me your thoughts, comments, and opinions below. For now, I'm Rick Munn. This is No Risk, No Reward Media. Over and out.